Welcome to Ready to Shine, a discussion on standing in your power with the amazing powerhouse, Dr. Claire Musleman, and myself. This discussion will be focusing on the bravery it takes to put yourself first, the correlation between glitter and joy, and how authenticity is crucial to becoming the CEO of your own life. So, I'll go ahead and let Claire introduce herself, and then I will as well. Claire, you want to go ahead?
Sure. Good morning. So my name is Dr. Claire Musleman. I am presently, if we're going to identify ourselves by our day jobs, I'm the Chief Risk Officer at Emory Industrial Holdings. And one of my amazing teammates, Oléa Coffin, is here joining us. So hello, Oléa. Good morning. Because I have not gotten to talk to her personally. I should have invited her up here to hang out because it's gorgeous. I also am a professor. I do a lot of research around personal development and human behavior in general. I think it's fascinating that no matter what you have from a strategy perspective, out how people internally work is really imperative when you're trying to build culture, strategy, and how to live your very best life. So I'm happy to be here. So I'll kick it back to you, Ms. Kerstie.
Awesome. Great introduction. Hello, everybody. My name is Kerstie Blue. I am an intuitive life coach, a yogi, a CPA, that's public accounting. And I really help people step into their personal power, create their dream lifestyle, and recover and avoid burnout that is so prevalent in our country right now, especially in corporate America. So Claire and I wanted to pair together so that we could bring our lessons, everything that we've learned along the way, to share with you guys about, what it takes to really stick up for yourself and step into your true power. So we're going to talk about how to come to your power as a leader, because we're all leaders, whether or not we have the official title of so, and how to practice bravery and authenticity and so many more things. So, Claire, in what ways do you put yourself first in your own life?
This is a funny joke. This is a really funny joke. So I'm really bad at putting myself first. I think more recently that has become a thing. Actually, I'm part of a group that actually Brent is a part of, where it is all about like crushing your goals and figuring out kind of what you want from life. And Brent does a really good job on Fridays. He sends us a reflection and it's always very deep. And that was what kind of started me really starting to really internalize, what does life mean for me? What does it mean to show up as my authentic self in a deeper component? How do I figure out how to like myself? Like, we can all love ourselves, but how do you actually like your own company? And how do you start figuring out what do you want? What's meaningful to you? Really, how do you stand in your own power unapologetically? And so many times we create narratives in our head that there is no context for. There's no proof of it, but it's scripts from either childhood, scripts from former jobs passed on by other leaders, cultivated by different culture. There's a lot that goes into that. And so when we started doing these Friday reflections, it gave an opportunity for me to start journaling. And journaling has never been something that I've ever done before because I never wanted to leave a trail of life. I never did it as a kid because I never wanted my parents to read it, or I've always have been like a very open book for the most part. And so when I've written articles or I write books or whatever that is, and I've been very vulnerable and open in that space. And so now I've actually, thanks to Brent, I've started to really take the time on Fridays to reflect. And then it started to manifest into different scenarios of, okay, let's do a self-check inventory. How are you feeling from a spiritual standpoint? How are you feeling from a wellness standpoint? Where are you professionally? Where do you want to be? How happy are you on a daily basis? What does happiness look like? And really trying to dig in deeper to put myself first. And now I journal for about an hour in the mornings at this present time, where it just gets deep into writing whatever is coming to for that morning. And sometimes I'll kick a question out to our group, which Brent got it yesterday. And Christine, I know you and I talked about it yesterday too, where I said, is happiness for you excitement or is it contentment? And it's been interesting to hear how people have analyzed this. So I'll kick that out to the group. Do you guys find happiness in excitement, or do you find it in contentment? And I am someone who absolutely finds it in excitement, because I think contentment is boring and routine absolutely scares me. And I assimilate the two, where a lot of people won't. Will just say, you know what, a stable life is great. It makes me happy. Not at all for me. I need a constant goal, striving. I want to be developing. I want to be moving forward. And so that achievement part is super important into the excitement, where I find my own happy. I'm also a Leo. So if you want to go down that zodiac stuff, yeah, that stuff is very accurate when it comes into that we just had the Lions or the Leo Lions portal, all this stuff. So you've got all that energy. So excitement does come from that for me. I'm also a chronic overachiever. I've talked about this openly, being a foster child to adopt, constantly trying to prove myself. So if there isn't something that's progressing, or there isn't a development, I feel like I'm dying, and I feel like stability is just, it creeps me out a little bit. So
interesting. Thank you for sharing that, because I think a lot of people, when you say things like, oh, the beliefs and the narratives that are in your head are related to your past and the way that your parents treated you, or the way that you showed up in school with your peers, a lot of people just kind of brush that off and they don't make that connection. But I want to take a second and bring everybody's attention to the fact that, think of your children, your nieces and nephews, when they're in their toddler years, they're like a sponge. They're constantly absorbing things. And so everything that they see and experience and learn during that period creates the foundation of who they are, how they see the world, and how they interact with other people. And so that same thing happened to you when you were younger. And as those first years of your life continue to develop, it just solidifies that foundation. So I want everybody to take a second and really reflect on that, how your life experiences when you were in your first 10 years of life created the foundation for who you are today. And subconsciously, in the back of your mind, ways that you're not even aware, those narratives continue to control your life today. So I'm really glad you brought that up. Thank you.
Well, and to give some ideas for people that are doing some reflection, a lot of it, like, how do you spend your time? Time is currency. So when I say that I'm a chronic overachiever, I also had activities every single night of my life when I was growing up. There was always something that we were doing, had to go somewhere. So at night, like when I hear people say that they come home and they just decompress, I'm like, ew, no, I need to go keep going. Like it's the second part of the day. So this is how we go. But that's because it's been wired in me since I was like 18 months, 2 years old, that it is a go, 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 go mentality. Money is another one to think about. Like, how do you think of money? Do you think of it as a fixed asset, or do you think of it as an abundance flow asset? Like, that's a lot of stuff that's programmed from us as children, being around it, hearing your parents say that, or like, you have to work hard in order to achieve X, Y, and Z. I would say that's not necessarily true. I think you need to be smart in what you do. However, like, I grew up with a blue collar father, so that's exactly what happened. And my mother had a very different, polar opposite background. And so it's been interesting to see how they managed money from that landscape, and also how they use time as a currency. So if you needed a couple ideas about what some of those generational scripts would look like, also relations to food, relations to exercise, like how you view yourself, a lot of that stuff comes from your generational programming. And then to start changing that narrative, you've got to accept whatever it is. So whatever that concept is, fully embracing, okay, this is where I'm at right now. And if I want to change that moving forward, all right, when I have a feeling that is negative or does not support where I want to be, I have to now consciously flip. So I carry around a notebook. This actually started when I was at Continental Western Group. If I have like a poor thought in any capacity, I will write it out in a notebook and then rephrase it. And then I flip the script in my own mind. Because if you want to actually change, because I'm a pretty positive person on a regular basis, I think we all hit our slumps every once in a while, or there's a full moon that comes across every once in a while. But for 99% of my life is pretty awesome. And I'm very happy.
Amazing. I think
at least about,
oh, there we go. I was gonna say your internet was cutting out on my end, so I wasn't sure if you were if you were done, but go ahead.
Oh, well, like when I think about like self-worth, when you think about self-worth, what do you tie it to? Is it truly like you enjoying yourself, or do you tie it to achievement? Do you tie it to a size, like a clothing size? Do you tie it to, familial aspects? Like, what do you tie your worth to? And are you okay with that? Are you happy with what that looks like? Because when to the question, does happiness come to you through excitement or contentment? if you like, I can tell you, I'm also very content and happy being near my daughter. I don't care what we're doing. It doesn't have to be exciting. I just like being near her and watching her and just seeing how she thinks and how she processes and how she's becoming this amazing human being. And that provides me joy and happiness in that. And I am full when I'm around that. So you can shape shift depending on what life looks like and what avenue you're in. So what does it look like for you? We don't spend enough time ever figuring that out in our own landscape. There's always an event. There's always something going on. There's always a deadline. You will never finish your job. Let's just be very clear on that. There's always stuff that's going to come into play. But how much time do you actually spend looking inward? Like, this satisfies me. This doesn't. I enjoy doing this. I don't like doing that. One of the things that, like, for an example on this is exercise. If you hate running, you're probably not going to want to exercise. Okay, but maybe you love to dance. So go find a dance class. Like, there's easy things that you can flip flop if you just want to take a moment to figure out, what do I like? What do I not? And then how can I program that into my day so that I'm having joy while experiencing this? Because if you have joy while experiencing this, it's a snowball and a momentum effect that will continue throughout your days.
Absolutely. So what I'm hearing overall is you really have to take the time to get to know yourself, get intimate with yourself, in a way, date yourself. Like, putting yourself first involves being really, really reflective on you, what makes you happy, what you default to during your day. And a lot of these things that Claire had mentioned, like being aware of what you tie your self-worth to. I know for me, I've always identified as a perfectionist. And that idea of what my self-worth was, I always just thought, either on a bad day, I didn't feel like I had any self-worth. And on a good day, I felt like, okay, yeah, sure, I love myself. But over the last couple of months, and really dialing in on this fact that I do consider myself a perfectionist, I have become more and more aware as I become more intimate with myself. I become more and more aware that I have tied my self-worth many times into my achievements. A lot of times we feel like we don't feel good or we don't deserve good things in our lives until we've done something to earn it or we deserve it, right? So, yeah.
One of the things that I want to pop to Brent for a second, because I think he's fantastic at doing this. So Brent, in the mornings, you go hike and you get quiet and you get clear. Can you give us some thoughts around that, or how did you discover that, or what is that like for you to experience?
Oh, so by the way, I loved your little quote. Journal is a trail of life. That's a good one, by the way. I'm gonna keep that one. But last year, for me, it came to, like, I had this experience in my life where it was like a very tragic event, and I came out of that and I was extremely depressed. And I'm a big advocate for mental health. I think mental health is probably a much bigger issue than what we allow it to be. So I was really struggling. And so, and I have everything. I have an amazing wife of 23 years. I got 2 amazing kids. I have an amazing family. I have an amazing business, but that didn't matter, right? So I had a very big health scare. And after that, I came out of it with, a lot of therapy and stuff. And I started to realize what I really needed to focus my life on to be happy. It wasn't money. It wasn't this, it wasn't that. And so I really kind of just realized that the importance of my health and my happiness and what I want to achieve in this world is that I need to start spending more time with myself. I need to spend time with myself and like myself, because if I don't like myself, then I can't appreciate what I have. So that was a really big thing for me. I do one day a week, I do a 3-hour hike by myself, and I really like to self-reflect and be alone and just sort of soak in nature and things like that. And that is a big part of my life. I do a run one day a week where I love to kind of be alone and do things. So for me, it just kind of got to the point where, I realized the importance of me being happy versus trying to make everyone else happy and whatnot, even though I have everything, and so, I will say, Dr. Claire briefly does discuss this. We do have this group. It's an amazing group. Every single person is in a different avenue of work comp, which makes it more interesting. But I do this thing on Fridays. I call them free reflections. So they're my morning reflections that I put out to the group. And I try to concentrate on one word of the week that impacts me the most, right? And so when I do that, though, I think about it, and it's self-encouraging for me. Like, you can come up with a word or something you want to strive to do or achieve, and just verbalizing it or talking to people about it really gives it more impact, in my opinion. I'm a big advocate of journaling, but I'm also a big advocate of sort of speaking to share your ideas with people. And I think it has a big impact. So, everyone has the exact same amount of time in a day. Everyone only has today. There is no yesterday, and tomorrow hasn't happened yet. So you have the present. So if you can live in the present and appreciate those types of things, I think it goes far.
So I'll offer up, thank you, Brent. I appreciate it so much. So I'm going to offer up a word for you guys for today. The word I want to use is prevent. And I say this because this is where, when we look at time as currency and how do you structure your day and how do you rethink things. So I'm going to give you guys an example. So I have cleaning ladies. It's the best money I've ever spent in my life. I love them. We've been family since 2009. I love them to death. They come at 8 a.m. on Monday mornings, and it stresses me out because the house needs to be picked up. And I know people joke about cleaning for the cleaning people, but it's a thing. And I also need to be out of the house. My daughter needs to be where she needs to be. I teach at Drake at 8. Like, there's a lot of stuff. Garbage has to be out. Recycling has to be out. There's all these things. And so when I think about this, every time I'm like, oh, I'm anxious. They're going to pull in my driveway. I'm not going to have room to get out. And there's all these things that start getting me like pretty stressed out in the morning. So I want to offer the word prevent, because there's a lot of things that I could do to be more prepared for the days that they come. For example, when I get home from the gym now, I just leave my Jeep out in the driveway, because then I know I can get out and they can park on the other side instead of in the middle. I put my garbage out when I'm leaving to go to the gym, so that's not an issue when they're arriving. And I make sure that everything is picked up the night before, because I know Mondays are always chaotic, but I also really love coming home to a clean house and the scent and all of the stuff. But so I offer the word prevent to you guys to figure out if there is something like that constantly provides either anxiety or something that you could absolutely flip the script to. So planning ahead is the best way to prevent something from happening, as well as a crisis only occurs when we aren't prepared, because if we were, it wouldn't be considered a crisis. So what was your last crisis, and what can you put in place to mitigate it for the next time? And it can really be something so simple. Like, I'm also chronically late to meetings. It is just not my thing. So what do I need to start doing? Like 5-10 minutes before a meeting is over, I now give the warning, like, hey, I appreciate your time. What you do is important. I value this. If you would like to continue this conversation later, let's set up another time, because it's all about self-respect and self-accountability. And Kerstie had posted something a couple weeks ago about burnout. Do you believe that burnout is self-inflicted or is it organizationally inflicted? Well, if you can start shape-shifting the way that you approach things and preventing and actually organizing your life in a way that actually helps you, you're less likely to burn out. So then kind of begs the question, do you cause your own burnout? Some food for thought. Kerstie, anything you want to add?
Yeah, I want to offer a word for anybody that might not feel connected to the word prevent. Consider proactive. How can you be proactive to prevent something in the future? Like, as we see in the majority of our healthcare, it's not focused on prevention. It's focused on putting a Band-Aid and masking pain and symptoms. How can we switch that in our own lives and lead by example and really live in that prevention mode, that proactive mode? That's really good. One second. Okay, I just got back from Mexico and I am fighting off a little bit of cold from my travels, so bear with me. I wanted to move into the next couple topics about bravery and the glitter effect. Dr. Claire, I hear a lot about the glitter effect with how you show up in the world. And I'm sure it takes a lot of bravery to be able to step into that power, working in a male-dominated industry or a male-dominated, powerful society. How do you find the bravery to show up full of glitter in all the ways that you do?
So I'm going to quote Reese Witherspoon and Cy Wakeman on this. It is none of my business what people think of me. And there is so much power in that statement. And I fell privy to this a couple of weeks ago, and it sent me through a spiral, which was a really good reflection on reminding myself that it is not, I don't care what you think, because it's not going to have any impact on my worth. So when we talk about showing up bravely and doing you, like, I do like myself, and I'm very happy with how far I've come and what I've done. And like, I like spending time alone. I'm like Brent, I love my alone time. I love spending time with myself. I also love glitter and sparkles. I love big chunky necklaces. I love wearing fake eyelashes, and I completely embrace this at all times. My fingernails are all decked out as much because it makes me feel good. And I've heard this landscape more recently than not, and I was absolutely floored by this because this is not my approach. But I have a best friend that just moved to Atlanta, and they were at dinner having a conversation about dating. And one of the girls said, well, I think guys should always pay for dates because I pay for my hair, I pay for my makeup, I pay. And I was like, wait, what? Why wouldn't you just do that for yourself? Like, all about self-care, how you show up for yourself, what you look like, what you feel like is all in your own control. It's interesting that someone would put that onto someone else. And so I think that when you look at what's the glitter effect, how do you step into your own self? Everything that I do is purely for myself. And then it can spill into other people, other things, by my attitude, how we focus on life. But it's up to me. I'm only responsible for me. The only person I can 100% influence in life is myself. And so I just do what I like, and I embrace that because I don't care. Like, I've had, like, I think if we want to go down the tattoo route, I got my first tattoo when I was 16 because I felt like it. And it's really just that simple of, I don't care. Like, I don't have the guilt or shame that we allow to come into our space, because I think it comes to, like, I like myself. And so when people want to, again, it's none of your business what other people think about you anyway. And most of the time, I'm not intimidating. People are intimidated. And that has everything to do with individual people versus yourself. And I think that's really important because my daughter has already learned that, and she's 13. So we both see a therapist, and the therapist stopped me the other day, and she's like, I don't see girls like your daughter, that they are very impressionable, and your daughter walks in with no F's to give. And I was like, good, then I raised her appropriately. Like, I want her to be, and Marin's laughing because Marin knows my family, where she's like, oh yeah, we've been down that road. But there's something, if everyone could stand in a space that makes them feel happy and good with what it is, whether it be a color, or if you want to wear fake eyelashes, wear fake eyelashes. If you want to wear heels, great. If you don't want to wear heels, who cares? As long as it makes you show up as the best version of yourself, we should be continuously supporting each other in that landscape. And a lot of times there is like the assumed competition, especially that exists within women. And I love the whole concept of, you can't compete with me. I want you to win too. And so if that means, body positivity, sexual positivity, whatever that looks like, I am all here for it, as long as it doesn't harm other people and that it makes you reflect the best version of yourself, so that the rest of the world can be impacted by you stepping into your best version of you. Hope that makes sense to everyone, which I shouldn't ask if that makes sense, but I like to check for understanding. So thank you.
Yeah, for sure. I want to bring everybody's attention to the point that we can all win. It can be win, 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 win. Nobody has to lose, because the society has this ingrained nature that if I win, you lose. If you win, I lose. But it doesn't have to be like that at all. That's just what we all continue to subscribe to day after day. So when we do those self-care activities, when we do put ourselves first and do what brings us joy and find our own way of glitter and sparkle in our life and the way that we show up, we can really take a deeper understanding of the fact that if I win, that doesn't mean somebody else loses.
No, and the world would be a much better place if everyone was winning, feeling that they are their best version of their self. And so if there's ever, and I offer this to everyone here, if there's ever anything I can do for you to help in that context, I absolutely want to do that, because we are better as a collective whole always. We are a community, we are a tribe, and all of those things matter. And so if you need somebody to be your personal cheerleader, I am happy to be that for you. I think actually, I know Mary Bennett is on here. Mary Bennett is probably one of the best like personal cheerleaders for people that I've ever met in my life. She will find a way to help you. She will find a way to pump you up. And we need more people like that to do that for one another, because there are days where it's hard to step in and be like, all right, today's a great day. So external factors can weigh. We can get stressed out about different situations. The energy can shift in the world. People can have different stressful situations coming with health or family members or whatnot. And sometimes you just need that one voice or that one person, even when you can't be yourself. And then there's also little tricks and tips that you can do for yourself. So when I stand up and I face myself in the mirror in the morning, I give myself 3 affirmations of things that I like about myself. It doesn't have to be a physical attribute, but if you want to talk to yourself the way that you would talk to anybody on the screen with us, like, how do you show up for yourself? Like, if I'm Christina, I'm going to tell you awesome stuff about yourself because you're an amazing human being. So with that, you should talk to yourself in that capacity. And if you find yourself not being able to do that easily, acknowledge it and recognize it, because awareness is the first step into figuring out how to flip the script and change your own narrative. Like, okay, let's talk about like exercise and going to the gym. Yes, those I am statements. Okay, it's not always easy to start that process. It's not always the easiest way to get moving in the morning and whatnot. But, if you continue to practice the repetition, it does get easier because you get better at it. And so this is the same thing. It's like flexing a muscle of how you talk to yourself and how you use self-reflection and you use those I am statements, because you are whatever you want to think. And the mind, if you can think it, the body can achieve it. You just have to get your mindset first and then watch the residuals afterwards.
Yeah, absolutely. If I could offer another way to summarize this information for everybody, if you want to see change in the world, you have to first start with yourself. You have to lead by example and be the change that you wish to see in the world, to quote Gandhi. We have to fill up our own cups so that we are overflowing, and it naturally then just affects everybody else around us. But if you're someone who's sitting here and you're looking at the rest of the world around you, you're looking external, and all you're doing is finding negative things to be upset about, and you're finding ways that you wish things would be different, but you're not actually taking any action to live and embody the change that you wish to see, that change is never going to happen, because your outer world is completely a reflection of your inner world. And this can be most apparent when you're talking to somebody and you ask them a question, and the answer or the response that they give is absolutely, completely not connected to the question at all. If they didn't answer your question in any way, shape, or form, that is the perfect example to show that whatever's going on in their brain is what's controlling how they see the world. Whatever's going on in your brain is how it is controlling how you see the world. So like Dr. Claire was mentioning, if you change your thoughts, you change your actions, you change your beliefs. Once you change your beliefs, everything else about the way you see the world will change. And this is factual. There's a Dr. Joe Dispenza who wrote an entire book. He runs tons of workshops, teaches hundreds, thousands of people how to really make these changes in their lives. So I highly recommend it. The book of his that I most recently finished is How to Break the Habit of Being Yourself. So incredibly powerful. So yeah, love that. So I want to talk about this topic of leadership and leading by example and being authentic. Dr. Claire, if you could talk to us about your journey of authenticity. It sounds like you have always shown up with this fire lit inside of you. And so I want to talk to everybody about what it's like on those days when the fire doesn't seem like it's lit, how you relight your own fire, how you show up for yourself and everybody else in your most authentic way.
All right. So yes, I absolutely was born this way. And I say that because very early on, like I have told this story. I don't think I've ever told it to this group, but when I was 3, I was in a play for like our community area or whatnot. And I was cast as a radish. Literally, you're supposed to be a vegetable that stands there. So my mom got me this awesome dress. It's pink polka dot. It's like ruffly. And then it has this big frou-frou skirt to give you guys like an illustration. And so the vegetables walk out on stage for this vegetable garden. And I walk to the center of the stage and I say, I am Cecilia Radish. And then I walked back. Okay, no other vegetable did that. So when we talk about like stepping into your own authentic power, this is like, I don't know, I feel like I'm innately born with a lot of these characteristics. But I also, if you want to go psychosocial on this, I've constantly had to prove myself since I was little to make sure that I didn't get sent back. That is like programmed into my mind so heavily that I'm totally going to check out Joe Dispenza's book on how to break the habit of being yourself, because that is just so heavily tied into so much of what I've done in my life, which has very much been a component of success. However, it's also very exhausting. So when it comes to days where it is not an amazing day, so I've said this a couple times, but I have affirmations for my alarms that will say like, today's going to be a great day, whatever's coming for that day. I usually have an affirmation that's going to be related to the activities that are going on that day. Twofold on this. One, when you have to set your alarms for the night before, it gives you the prep work of what's coming tomorrow. And you can set the mind frame before you go to sleep of, all right, tomorrow is going to be an amazing day. So you go to sleep with a positive mindset. Like, I have all these opportunities tomorrow. It's going to be a great day. And then you go to sleep with that positive mindset. And then first thing in the morning, like if you hate that tone, set something different. Like Kerstie, I know you and I were talking and you said that you start with a morning meditation right when you wake up. That's super heavy and powerful to start setting that tone for the day. Now, there are days where I am grumpy. I think Olivia can contest to that, where I wear my emotions on my sleeves. And so then it's going to be like, okay, 5-minute journal. What are the good things that I'm excited about today? What is my affirmation leading into today? And if X happens, today will have been a fantastic day. And then Mari, actually Melly's mom, had been really great about teaching me about tea meditation and setting an intention when you're brewing tea, which has been really inspiring and powerful as well, because you can find these little tiny habits throughout the day to flip your own script, to flip your own mental script. It's so easy to get caught in that pitfall of ick. Now I'm busy, this is happening. Oh, all of this stuff is happening to me. And I prefer to look at it as this is happening for you. There's something that is teaching you this mindset as a result. Also, I think that there's a good thing called the 5 senses box. If you've never tried this, have a playlist that will instantly put you in a good mood. I will give you a song that I was listening to this morning that I think is fantastic. Float On by Modest Mouse teaches you to just roll with life and the flows. When I hear that song, it automatically puts me into a good mood. So have a song that you can listen to. Have a scent that if you can burn a candle or you can smell a scent that will put you in a good mood. A taste, whether it be a flavor of coffee, a tea, chocolate, something that you can taste that you know you enjoy and you love. For like touch, a blanket, a sweatshirt, something that you can actually like touch your skin or fabric that puts you in a good mood. Maybe it makes you feel safe or cozy or secure, whatever that is. And then a picture that brings back a happy memory. So if you've got favorites on your phone, scroll through a couple of those. Like I know I've got pictures of my dog and my daughter because they make me really happy, or from a hike that I've done or anything that's outside. The other thing that I do to snap myself out of a mood is to go get what I call green therapy. I like to get outside, and a lot because of what Brent has taught me over this past year, but I like to get around foliage. I like to get around trees, any type of like green that is like Mother Nature symbolizing her healing power. And I really like the color green to help with that healing mechanism from like a color therapy aspect. I also then pay attention to any of the animals that I might encounter if I'm out on a trail or if I'm out in the woods or whatnot, because they're there to send you a message. And then I Google what it is, and it's usually the universe's way of trying to take care of you when you are not being your very best self. So if you have never done that, challenge you to take a walk in nature and see what animals you come across, and then Google the animal and then put spirit animal. So if it's a rabbit, spirit animal, or we saw a coyote the other day that I had never seen a coyote on this trail. So very symbolic, or duck, geese, you name it, Google spirit animal. And there's always a meaning to what's showing up for you. I had 2 praying mantis on my patio this morning. They show up in their own interesting capacities, and you can absolutely learn from them if you want to choose to pay attention. And so through nature, through your senses, and through reprogramming your brain, you can flip the script pretty quickly if you want to prepare yourself. So there we go. into preventing a bad mood or being proactive if you have a bad mood or an unhappy day. Have some tools in your toolbox to kick you back into the right space. So, Kerstie, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, totally. So much good stuff there. So I want to start out by saying anything that Dr. Claire had mentioned about smelling a scent that makes you feel good or touching a fabric that makes you feel good. There are tons of studies that back these up scientifically of these feel good scents and these feel good like touches, whatever, you know what I'm trying to say. It creates and sets off a chain reaction in your brain, releasing all sorts of chemicals that completely revert whatever highway you're on. It puts you on another one. So my big thing is affirmations, as Dr. Claire mentioned. I have an iPhone, so I paid iTunes for specific songs that I found that are guided meditations, and it's all affirmations. And so I added one since we actually spoke last night. Now I have 20 minutes of guided music affirmation in the morning. When I wake up, it just goes off and starts playing on my phone. So I don't even have to move. And that's the beautiful part about it. I can just sit there in bliss for 20 minutes and listen to this beautiful feminine voice affirming all of the ways that I am incredible. And it's not just specific to me, right? The song was made for, their entire audience. So it goes to show like it can apply to anybody. And so I listen to those meditations and affirmations in the morning. And then 8 times throughout the day, I have set alarms on my phone that on the screen pops up with an affirmation that I have chosen. And you can do this in your alarm app. I just take off the sound, I add a vibration, and then I change the title of the alarm to the affirmation. So I think my 9 a.m. is I am powerful, divine, feminine. And they go off at 8, 9, 10 a.m., 11:45, 1 p.m., 3 p.m., 4 p.m., 6 p.m., 8 and 10. So I have these going off all day long, whether or not I'm feeling low. It's constantly resetting me on that path of positivity. And the last one I have for the day is I am fully loved and supported by the universe, so that I can have that sense that there is a greater power that is taking care of me. And as we mentioned in the beginning, there is abundance all around me, and I don't need to be worried about all these little things I'm worried about. The other thing I wanted to mention, spirit animals. I'm so glad you brought that up, because I've always felt connected to birds and eagles. And so whenever I'm standing in nature, having a vision or thinking about what I want my future to be, I typically will see a singular bird or eagle flying in the sky right above me. And that is my sense of knowing that I am on the right path. I have full confidence in what is coming to me, and I know, trust, and believe that I'm on that path, that what I want is coming to me. So if you have an animal that you've always been connected to, I encourage you to do that research. It's backed by years and years of Native American and Native people's traditions and their understanding of nature. So really, really cool stuff. Whew,
right, so Brent added a tip that says to help you have a positive feeling every day of your life. And he put something in his wallet that, sorry, Brent, you can just say this yourself. You're here, you're participating, you're active.
Yeah, my buddy taught me this trick, and I have a peso, and actually I don't even know what they're called, but it's a currency from Costa Rica, and it's in my wallet. So every single time I open my wallet, I see it, and it reminds me of like all my favorite family trips or friend trips or whatever that I've done over the years, and it just kind of brings me joy.
I love that. So then I'm curious what your locked phone screen is.
So I have to do this together because I have a daughter and a son. So my daughter, oh, you can't see it. My daughter's my home screen, and my lock screen is my son.
Oh. Does anybody else have any? Oh, there's Gayla's, which Gayla and her daughter look like twins. I actually thought, what is that? A couple years ago, I was sitting next to Gayla at dinner, and she's showing me these photos, and I was like, "You look great." And she's like, "Oh, this is my daughter." It's like, "Oh my goodness, you guys look like twins," which I hope everyone says about Sadie and I as she continues to get older. Kind of fun. Was anybody else? Maren, do you have anything that you do that kicks you into back into a happy mode?
Probably music is one of my things. I just find some music with a lot of bass that I like to dance to and then just sing at the top of my lungs or go running.
Yes. If anyone's ever seen Grey's Anatomy, they used to talk about dancing it out. The girls would all get together and just let go and dance because your body wants movement. And if you can change your physical space. So another tip that I learned from a mentor of mine when I was working at Continental Western Group, if you're in a meeting, especially since I have gotten to work with a lot of very fun, I've worked with a lot of interesting leaders with very different personalities, that sometimes people will say things that will set you off internally where you're like burning, like physically burning, where you're like, that's so inappropriate or that's false or whatever it is. If you can physically rearrange yourself in some capacity. So if you are sitting back in a chair, you lean in and you lean forward. If your legs are crossed one way, cross them the other way, cross at the ankles, shift your physical body to change your space, and it will help move your mood. Or also a pressure point, like if you actually like press in between your thumb and your index finger, like pressing down just to help relieve some of the stress or tension, it will give your focus aside from what was being said or the information being shared. It can help shift your energy if you actually utilize those characteristics. And that I think has been really important. I also like to pay attention to people's body language when we're talking in meetings and stuff like along those lines of who's leaning in and who's leaning out, because I think it says a lot. And also who has their hands on a table and who does not, because you are supposed to be able to exhibit more confidence and more structure and grounding in what you are saying and the message that you're conveying if you have visible hands and you are leaning into a conversation. So some helpful tips of stepping into your own power. Those are from the book Captivate, which are actually it's a very funny book to read. So.
Interesting. That's awesome. Yeah. Another resource I wanted to offer to people. I follow this psychologist on Instagram. Her name is Dr. Nicole LaPera. Her Instagram handle is The Holistic Psychologist. And she has a book called How to Do the Work. And it is just incredible. It guides you through all of these things that we've been talking about. You have it? It's so good. I gave it to my mom and
it's a great one.
It's amazing. Yeah, highly recommend it. I'll drop it in the chat. Yeah. And if anybody else has anything to add, please go ahead and raise your hand or just jump in. And I wanted to kind of jump into this last topic of, I coach on ultimately helping people become the CEO of their own life. And so a lot of times in this culture, we're so much more focused on business than we are our personal lives. And so shifting the perspective of being a CEO from a business mentality to a personal mentality, it kind of gives you the understanding that you are really ultimately in control of yourself and your life, and your decisions that you make about yourself should be scrutinized to the highest capacity so that you know that yourself, your life, your own personal business of you is really going to be the best that it can be for the highest return for you as the investor in your life. So Dr. Claire, if you could just kind of talk about what it means to you to be the CEO of your life or the most authentic leader for yourself, I'd love to end on that note.
Sure. So I think when you look at how you're going to build your organizational culture, if you are the CEO of your own life, so we talked about brand. So the glitter and joy and sparkles and all of that, that's my brand. That's brand Claire. And that is how I show up every day. So what is your brand? How do you carry your brand around with you on good days, bad days, etc.? What is your brand and how do you live that in your fullest capacity? Like, for example, I know I'll see Donna next week. Donna knows that I will be dressed in very bold colors. I'll have my eyelashes on. I've got my big crazy jewelry because that is who I am. That is brand Claire, and I am proud to be that. One of the other things that I think is super important, aside from owning your own brand of what makes you feel good so that you can be your best self, is pay attention to the people that you surround yourself with. So this is you, if you were the CEO of your own life, hire, fire, and promote accordingly. That can be family as well. I do not have a relationship with my adoptive parents. I choose that because the toxicity is not worth it for me. So that is a choice that I consciously make, and I am completely content with that because of my worth, my value, and the protection that I have for my family supersedes that of any generational predetermined status that has no accountability, that does not factor in all of the other things that make up who we are as our people. Also pay attention to your circle. So in our circle that Brent and I are a part of, we elevate our circle by elevating our circle. We rise each other up and continue to challenge each other while challenging ourselves. And at the same time, as we're cultivating this momentum, we continue to elevate one another, and our whole circle benefits from the results of that. So who do you surround yourself with? Think about that. Like, if you show me the 5 people you hang out with the most, I'll tell you who you are. Anyone could say that. And so those types of things are very important. And there's different types of people that you have for different types of reasons. Like, we've got our fun friends, you've got the people you want to tell your aspirations and your goals to, but those might not be the fun friends. Who's going to help support you to get to your initiatives? Who's going to hold you accountable? Think about the people that you surround yourself with. Also, since you're the CEO of your own narrative and your story and your company, for your personal aspect, how do you feed yourself? And I mean this from a standpoint of, what TV do you watch? What movies do you watch? What podcasts do you listen to? What music do you listen to? I know there's the whole genre of, people love the murder shows and whatnot. Think about what that does to your mind, though. Think about, does that make you paranoid? Does that make you educated? Think about those landscapes. Like, I'm a huge fan of the Halloween movies at Halloween time. But I also know that that's going to put me in a space because it's murder. Like, you're watching people get murdered. It's not going outside in a walk in the park watching a dove go by. So there's like a different landscape. How are you feeding your head? How are you feeding your soul? What does that look like? So pay attention to the podcasts you listen to. Pay attention to the people that you listen to. Who do you ask for advice? Really, how do you feed your mind? What's the last course that you've taken? Is there something that interests you? I'm very, very much in tune right now with the unconscious mind. I think it's a fascinating concept, and I want to start pushing it into workers' compensation so people can really understand the narrative behind injured workers and their recovery process. So I have been taking a 3-series curriculum based out of the University of England on the unconscious mind to better understand that. So how do you continue to fuel yourself as the CEO to promote your own life into the movement forward? And a lot of that stems from how you feed your life in all aspects. And then, of course, food, movement, and water. Those are the basics. We should all know that. I read something the other day that was talking about, if you have no idea where to begin to start making yourself better, focus on protein. We always focus on carbs. Nobody ever focuses on the protein aspect. It's always low carb, cut the carb, blah, blah, blah. Okay, just focus on protein and the connect, because it helps with your connective tissue and brain function. Movement. We got really sedentary over the past couple of years. Walking is so underrated, but it can make such a big difference. And if you think about it from a cognitive function standpoint, movement forward, going out and walking propels you forward. So it's not just the physicality of your body walking, but it's actually the fact that you are moving forward. And there's a lot of that goes into your psyche and the psychological components of your brain of actual forward movement in life. Who would have thought? And then, of course, I forgot what the third one was. It was protein, movement. Oh, and weights. If you don't like the shape of your body, go reshape it. Go pick up some weights and start doing some strength training. It's really that easy. We focus so much on cardio. No, think about mobility and movement. Do you want to be able to carry people, things around, or are you going to let yourself just sit in a chair and get decrepit and not be able to move? So things to think about from that landscape. But I really like the hire, fire, promote accordingly, and think about that in all aspects of your life, because how you fuel yourself is not just food. And it is so much more the people that you surround yourself with. Anything that you want to add?
Yeah, going with how do you fuel yourself? What do you consume? Not just food, but what entertainment do you consume? Consider the mantra, garbage in, garbage out. So make sure you're not putting garbage inside of you, and consider the time of day. Like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. But a couple of years ago, I was dating somebody who insisted we watched true crime right before bed. And it was always stories about young women getting murdered. And I couldn't sleep because of that. So consider what you're doing before you go to bed to be able to set your mind right for the next day. There was one other thing. Oh, I was just on vacation, right, as I mentioned, and a woman came up to me after the gym and she said, "Oh my gosh, you look great. What do you do? I want to get rid of my stomach from, having a kid." I think a lot of women are focused on what their bodies look like after they have children. And I said to her, cardio is not going to do it. You have to start picking up weights, and not just little 2-5 pounds, but you have to push yourself a little bit. So for anybody in this group that's interested in starting that fitness journey and increasing their strength training, I want to recommend an app to you called Fit On, FITON. It's a purple square, totally free. It has trainers, male, female, celebrity trainers. You can pick the length, the intensity of the workout. I highly recommend it. I've been using it for 2 years and I have never been this happy with my body. So just wanted to leave that with you guys. We do have a couple more minutes here. And before we go, I just wanted to thank you so much, Dr. Claire, for sharing, and Brent and Marin, thank you all so much for sharing and for offering tidbits for this community, because we rise together. When one of us wins, we all win. So yeah, thank you all so much. And if anybody else has anything they want to add, I invite you because we have time and space. Radio silence.
I don't think you want to hear me talk anymore. I will say this. I was put into what we call this group or circle or whatever the beginning of the year, and it was genius. And I will give Josh Diggs from Modern Rain the credit of that. But I would try to find your own group of people. We are all basically strangers in the night that came together. We're all from different industries. I mean, literally from different industries. And we all continually support each other and bounce ideas off each other. And it is very, very, very therapeutic and is very uplifting. And I think it has literally changed the way that I go about my day. So try to find a group like that. Even if you find people on here, I'm telling you, it helps. It is amazing how much it helps.
If nothing else, it's such an accountability thing, like having people that you can trust to have the very best intentions for you. So while we all have a work comp touch, we all do very, very, very different things. And I think probably the most enjoyable piece is watching everybody win in their own light. And they all have won in very different ways. And what that looks like is different, whether it be someone coaching their daughter's softball team. And we joke, we're like, here comes the cute kids again. And so it's fun because it's fun to help each other win and to realize that you get joy out of watching your circle win. Like there's a lot that goes into that. And then on those days that aren't the greatest, or somebody goes silent, you just know to reach out and be like, hey, you need something? Are you good? And I think it really adds a lot of value to just have somebody that cares. So.
Absolutely.
So Kerstie, on your off days, what do you do to feel yourself?
Oh my gosh. Well, I go to the beach because for 23 years of my life, all I wanted was to live near the beach, and now I do. So take full advantage. But really, I do so much yoga because I'm an old soul, and for some reason, my body reflects that. So if I'm not constantly moving, I just start to literally shrink and become decrepit. So when I have free time, I'm the person stretching in the grocery store. Like that is me. And if I have movement, nutrition, and sleep, I'm good. But if I lose one of those pieces, everything falls apart. So, excuse me.
I will say, I think sleep is a huge component too. Sleep has been one of them that I have started to actively try to get more of, probably since the pandemic, of just realizing that 4 hours of sleep does not do a body good. When I was finishing my doctoral program, I was maybe getting 4 hours of sleep a night, waking up to drink tons of coffee and then drink wine at night. And it was bad to the point that I developed a polyp on my gallbladder. And so I went to the hospital one night and was like, oh, this is just awful. And so the doctor was like, okay, walk me through your routine right now. And he's like, oh my gosh, you are slowly killing yourself. Here's what you need to start doing. And so I don't drink anymore. I have really minimized my coffee and I sleep way more than 4 hours. So it's been a interesting journey. I will say that, but
Yeah.
no one ever says that those doctoral programs are easy. They tell you it breaks you and rebuilds you. And that's exactly what happens. So interesting stuff.
Yeah, same. I switched from coffee to green juice and tea. And now I'm starting to go to bed at 10 p.m. because somebody recently told me that the sleep you get before midnight is the only deep sleep that you get. Everything afterwards is light sleep and REM. And the deep sleep is what really repairs your body. So you need that. We're all animals. If you think
Take
back,
that one away.
yeah, we're all animals. We're all tribal. So when you think back, the things that we need to be doing are exactly what they were doing in those days. It's so simple, but it's become this thing that we make it. It's for some reason not easy anymore, but very simple. So we are at the top of the hour. Thank you all so much. This has been awesome. I love these. Thank you guys.